Hey guys, I'm going to make two videos today. One is this first one here is going to be about feedback loops. Um, we're basically at the end of our unit three on cell signaling and communication. And you are going to have some sort of assessment about that this week. Um, and there'll be a further announcements about that. One topic that wasn't explicitly touched on was feedback loops, negative and positive. You've been working with these concepts in some ways throughout the year, but I just wanted to make a quick video that explicitly defined these so you're able to deal with them when you see them. So negative feedback loops and positive feedback loops. You don't have this doc that I'm showing you, and I'm not going to give it to you. Just these are all examples of negative feedback. Most mechanisms of homeostasis, maybe all, are regulated in the body, in cells, through negative feedback. Negative feedback is when an input into a system causes a response that ultimately shuts the system down, right? So this first example here is body temperature, right? Think about this with me. You don't even have to read it, just listen, right? Your body temperature increases, start getting hot. Your body is triggered to sweat. The sweat cools you down, because your body temperature is now lower, sweat production stops, right? So the input into the system, raised body temperature, triggered the production of sweat. But it was sweat itself that turned itself off because sweat cooled the system was no longer hot, and the sweat gland stopped production of sweat, right? Negative feedback, when the response of the system is to ultimately shut down the system. Water level in your blood. You drink a lot of water. Water level in your blood increases. Kidneys see that increased water level. They get triggered into action. They start removing water from the blood, removing water from the blood. They're sending it to your bladder. Water level in the blood is no longer as high. Kidneys stop removing water. Negative feedback, right? The input into the system, high water in the blood, ultimately shut the system off. That is negative feedback, right? Blood sugar is a great example. You eat food, your blood sugar increases. That triggers your pancreas to make insulin. Insulin helps shuttle glucose into cells, and that ultimately stops the pancreas from making insulin. Again, the final, where this system ends up is shutting off. Okay. Now, positive feedback is when the input into the system causes the system to operate more. It's very difficult to find examples of positive feedback in biology because organisms aren't runaway trains. Organisms are balanced entities, right? This funny little joke here with the blue arrows is a classic example of positive feedback. This is what positive feedback is, right? There's a herd of cows standing around a field. One of them panics and starts running. A second one sees the cattle running. A third one, fourth one. Oh my God, all these cows are running. All the cows are now in a stampede, right? That's positive feedback. Think about positive feedback being like a runaway train. Here's one classic example of positive feedback in humans: childbirth, right? So here's the fetus in the womb, right? As the head of the baby pushes against the cervix, this is the vagina here, cervix is the opening to the uterus, right? As the head of the baby pushes on the cervix, that causes a nerve impulse to be transmitted to the brain, which stimulates the production of oxytocin, a hormone that causes contractions, right? The uterine lining starts contracting. That contraction pushes the baby's head against the cervix more, which causes the signal to be sent to cause more contractions. So this is positive feedback. Now, it does not just go on forever. Obviously, it ends in the baby being delivered and the whole system shuts down. But this is positive feedback because the pushing head against the cervix is what stimulates oxytocin. That causes contractions, which causes more pushing, right? The response is more of what's been happening. Okay, so that's a quick little video about negative and positive feedback. One more little thing about this would be diagrams like this. I do want you to know that oftentimes stimulation and inhibition, opposites, are shown in different ways on diagrams. And you've seen this before. If you see an arrow or a plus sign, or in this case, both, you can assume here that the anterior pituitary is stimulating Leydig cells, causing them to be active more. Those cells, in turn, look at the effect they're having on the pituitary and the hypothalamus. They are inhibiting, they're turning off those things, right? This is a negative feedback loop.